We're going to talk tonight about the journey of the soul and how we've evolved over time. But not the times that have gone by, but your own personal times. Your experiences in life that have helped define you, shape you, give you the character, the charisma, and even some of the wounds that you have. Have you found that in your journey, you have felt disconnected, alone, sometimes suffering from feeling abandonment, not good enough, not worthy? Have you found yourself in winning situations only to end up on the losing side of the game? Maybe you felt that you sabotaged yourself. Or why is it that we keep picking these relationships that yield the same story again and again and again? And then we make excuses. Why is it we're not brave enough to go out and try for a new job? Submit a resume. Think outside the box. What stops us from moving forward? What stops us from feeling safe and secure? How is it that we can find our path and find the joy and find the harmony, but heal the wounds? Tonight we're going to talk about healing your wounds and how the wounds of the past impact your future. And that when you live in the past, on some level, you're unable to move forward because it's as if there's a subtle rubber band just pulling you back, forcing you to take a look at behaviors, experiences, not feeling good enough. There are those who've married many times, but they don't find that companion. There are those who find that they're in circumstances that don't leave them feeling fulfilled. There are those of you who find at night you feel very much alone. And at times the wounds rise to the surface, even though this is such a jolly time, as the story would be told. There'll be many of you who will sit in your home and not feel loved, not feel welcomed, not feel connected, wondering if you ever have that sense of family, that connection with others, or that partner to share the holidays with. It's the most wonderful time of the year. But is it? It's the time of the year when one must reflect. This close of a 2021, well, we've been reflecting since 2020, I'm sure. With the close of 2021 and the hope of a better 2022 causes us to take note of where we've been and where would we like to go, assuming you have control. But where did these wounds come from? Some of you have had traumatic experiences, never to be watered down. I'm fortunate to sit across from so many people who feel comfortable in expressing their deepest fears. And for those of you who have navigated things that seem horrific, you are courageous. But there's a part of you that is still holding on to a piece of that hurt, that time. And that's part of the journey of healing in this life. There are others whose parents were not fully present. Maybe they were critical. I spoke with someone earlier and I was like, oh my goodness, your mom reads like Negative Nelly. The guy said, yep, that's her. Could never really make her happy. And even now as an adult, it was this constant word battle. Unfortunate. There are those of us who have siblings that we don't get along with. Maybe we were compared to the other sibling and somebody measured differently than the other, and maybe you're the one who was left on the short end of the stick. not feeling as if you were good enough. Maybe you heard something like, why can't you be more like your brother Johnny? He's all-star. He's good in school. And you're just doing whatever was displeasing to the parent. And then we have our own comparison minds. You know, the human mind is designed to observe and analyze, and we're trained to compare. How many of you on the journey of your success, maybe you have a business, you're comparing yourself to others? No two people's paths are the same. But what if some of your business failures are rooted in a wound? Something deep inside that only you know, that you thought you pushed down really well. Maybe it was something personal and private that nobody ever really knew. Maybe you were bullied in school. You didn't tell your parents. But when school was over, you went in and you kind of lost yourself in a book or in your tears, or just kind of shut down. There's so many ways that we hide our wounds. There's so many ways that we struggle to move forward and act as if it didn't happen. Come on, good girls and boys, don't complain. Children are seen and not heard. Toughen up. The world's tough out there. There's no time for tears. Maybe some of you have heard those things. Or how about money doesn't grow on trees? What about nothing's given for free? Or you won't amount to much anyhow. Or no one could ever love you. Or why are you trying out for that football team or that school play? You won't make it. Sometimes the parent, from their own wounds, can't see the child's potential because they feel that they never got the opportunity to live their potential. And so systematically, from their wounds, they block their child's growth, their child's ability to express oneself and shine their unique light. Humans, we're so complicated. We try the best we can. I can assure you that your parents did the best they could with what they had and what they knew. Some of them, raised by their parents, went through times of war and poverty. They embraced lack because they lived it. And so even when the times changed, they lived from a place of lack, waiting for something to be pulled out from under them at any moment. Hasn't been easy. Think of your children now, growing up at this time. Remember how free you were as a child? They don't really have those freedoms, do they? Can you feel confident letting your child ride the bicycle out beyond where you can see them today? Maybe not. Forgetting the restrictions that are going on in the world right now. Are we building our children up to be all they can be and feel safe? But yet, do they have the freedom we had? And is it more about what you've accomplished in school and how many clubs you've belonged to and how many opportunities you created for yourself, even in the 7th and 8th grade, that are helping you move forward in high school and really putting a lot of pressure on these children to meet a certain standard so that they qualify for what? And what if that isn't their core competency, that they're being pushed to succeed, but they struggle with that? What did you struggle with growing up? We all have something. What parent didn't honor you, make you feel loved and worthy? What parent was cruel and maybe reprimanding? We're not here to talk bad parenting. We're just here to talk about the wounds and how deep they run. It runs deeper than you. It runs to your parents and your grandparents and their parents. And it's a story that's been held down to the generations. How that family doesn't have any good sons, and those people over there, their daughters are just trash. We've heard people talk. There's gossip. And we as children just take it all in. And yes, as children, they're smart enough to wonder, what are you saying about them? Don't kid yourself. So what was the wound for you? And how did you deal with it? How did you move yourself forward? Did you strive to overachieve and push through at any cost? Did you keep to yourself and never tell your secrets? Did you learn not to trust people? Did you get out of your house as fast as you could, the minute you could? Did you always wonder why you felt so uncomfortable around a particular relative, only later on to remember something totally inappropriate? Where are the wounds? And what have you squashed inside that is now holding you back, not allowing you to feel, to really feel, to understand that you are precious and you are worthy and you are light and you are love and you can do anything. And that even though you may not be good in a particular subject, you too have a talent. There's something unique about you that you were born to do in this lifetime. But did you just get out of the house so that you could get married and be safe? Did you get out of the house so that you could get a job and make lots of money and never tie down because you never wanted to live the family life that you grew up in? Did you have children that remember how you felt as a child and do differently by yours, but never gave yourself a break and loved yourself and was kind to yourself? Because even though you knew it was better to treat your children in a different way so that they could feel loved, you still never took the time to love yourself? Was there something you were teased about as a young child or a young adult that made you not feel worthy or pretty enough? Schools can be very cliquey and bullyish. Are you now an adult and feel as if other people are living a better life than you are? Now, yes, some of that is projected through social media as this bigger-than-life happy moment. But then sometimes you look at people you know and you think, why can't I have a life like that? I don't feel that. I don't have that. And yes, we can ask the question, not from the comparing mind or from the jealous place, but we can ask the question because that lets you know that your soul is looking for that. It's prompting you to say, it's your turn. And you don't have to apologize to step out and create what you want. These past few years have forced people to take a good look in the mirror and encouraged us all to seek a higher counsel. Because if we were listening to all the words coming out of mankind's mouth these days, I don't know what voice to listen to. Do you? But inside there's a voice. There's the voice of the higher self, the you who knows that you are spectacular and precious and strong and courageous and beautiful and accomplished and here for a reason. And then there's this other little spot inside of you. This little boy or girl. It's there, just sitting there. Just hoping that somebody will notice them and take them from this chamber of loneliness and disappointment and not measuring up, not feeling safe, and abandoned and wondering why one of the parents is now gone, and just feeling like, is anybody here for me? Yes, we've all had a moment when we have been unable to free ourselves from that scared little boy or girl. And that's the wound that we want to heal. That's the aspect of ourself that deserves to come to the future. It doesn't need to be trapped in your bedroom or up in that high spot on the tree where you would go where no one would find you, or in that path along the woods where you could finally be alone and not hear your parents fighting. There's so many times where we have those moments. If you haven't sat with your little girl or your little boy, then let's heal. Let's take a look at those wounds and let's move ourselves forward. So many of our experiences are mental, emotional, and physical things that crop up in our bodies, in our energy. They're because a part of you is just there, waiting for someone to take them by the hand and say it's okay. The adults didn't do their job, but I'll take care of you. I'll love you. I'll remind you of your reason for being on this earth. And together we'll create a new life, just you and I. A life where we can be free to be who we've come to be. And we are worthy. We are good enough. And we can do anything.